It's coming home with me.
Yale riding the March Magic high once again. For the first time in 55 years, Duquesne has won an NCAA tournament game.
Radford, the inbounder, looking, the bounce, Garcia. Oh,
Hello, friends. We have been officially renewed for another season of the D1 and Done pod, currently presented by the official Mountain West correspondent, the official SEC correspondent, and benefactors of the podcast, the Hagen Hall Boys. I'm Robbie Donahoe alongside Nick Mills, Dusty Mills. Make sure you give us a follow on our social media pages. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at D1 and Done Pod. You can email us, d1anddonepod@gmail.com. Make sure you leave us a like, follow on Facebook, leave a review, and rate us 5 stars on Spotify. And we'll get our SpeakPipe up and running when the season gets going. SpeakPipe.com/D1anddonepod. You can hear your lovely, sultry voice on the D1 and Done Pod with your question in regards to college basketball. So, it's season 2. They actually did want us to come back. I don't know who them is, but I'm just throwing it out there.
And I mean, there's been a lot of great television shows that only lasted one season.
That's right.
So I can't name a single one.
I can't either. But I'm sure they're out there.
But like, we beat those shows.
Didn't Freaks and Geeks only last one season?
Yes, Freaks and Geeks with Seth Rogen.
That's right.
And who's a tall dude from How I Met Your Mother? Sudeikis. No, wait.
I was going to say...
Siegel.
I was going to say...
Jason Siegel.
I was going to say Zach Geedy.
Not Zach Geedy, but... So is this the start of Season 2?
It is the official start of Season 2. We made it, everyone.
Should we do a clap? Round of applause?
I hope so. Yeah, we did it. Proud of all of us. We hung in there. Even when the times were tough, we powered through, and we have arrived at Season 2. Even though I kind of mentioned Season 2 was the summer, this is the real Season 2. So this is when it really starts.
Well, it's a lot of pressure because speaking of the TV show analogy, like True Detective, great Season 1. I think we had great Season 1. I mean, Purdue was the best team in the country, or one of the best teams in the country.
No. Purdue wasn't the best team in the country. You were correct.
I'm saying, just think about our Season 1. Again, so your Boilermakers go to Natty with the best player in the country, and Kentucky had about as interesting as a season as they've had a long time with firing their coach. So
yeah.
How do we top in Season 2? Can't wait.
I don't know how you do, but we're certainly going to try. Today, this is coming out on a Tuesday, October 15th. Today, we are officially 20 days away from college basketball tipping off. It's going to be here before you know it. And we've got college football that continues to be on the front burner along with NFL, but college hoops is where our love lies.
Playoff baseball.
Nobody cares about playoff baseball.
Hockey started?
Are the Blackhawks good this year?
No idea.
Okay.
They have Bedard.
I know they're not good because they lost to Utah their first game.
Utah Hockey Club.
I do correct, seen on the bomb line which just says Utah.
It just that's all. Fox has Hockey Club on the bottom of their bottom line when Utah pops up, what a flex. Hockey Club.
Very European soccer of them.
Very much so, yes. Why can't they just be UHC then? Utah Hockey Club.
UHC doesn't really flow off the tongue, I feel like.
I like it.
Haktua.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
Season 2, baby.
All right, 20 days until we tip this thing off. We'll have some charity scrimmages and exhibitions coming up the next week or two. Supposedly there was a secret scrimmage the other night with Illinois and Butler. Supposedly the Illini won. Nobody cares about secret scrimmages. It seems like every year when there is one, people lose their minds over the results. I mean, Purdue fans, myself included, lost their mind when they lost to Arkansas in that exhibition game last year, and we thought Arkansas was going to run through the SEC, and then the Muss Bus not only got a flat tire, but the transmission leaked, and everything went to crap. So don't always put a ton of stock in those exhibition games, kids. They don't really tell the story of what the season could be.
Have you guys ever driven a car that transmission went out?
No.
Fortunately, no.
I have, and it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrifying.
What's worse, brakes going out or transmission going out? Okay.
Wait.
Well, I guess if you're going through like a stoplight, your brakes are gone.
If I'm driving a big semi-truck and the brakes go out, no brakes!
What? Okay, this is going to be a dumb question. What is your transmission exactly?
Doesn't it change your gears?
Yeah, I don't really know. I just know that.
So it is horrifying then.
Yes, that would be horrifying if you can't change your gears.
That I have
I think brakes would be worse than. At least like your car would slowly run out of like
stop,
steam.
or you can't shift.
But like, if you take your foot off the pedal, wouldn't it just eventually stop?
I mean, you can slow your momentum down by riding the wall, but
But like, once you're, I guess
we're big car guys, as you can tell.
Nick, I'm going to tell you this. So I was driving our grandmother to vote back in 2022, I think, for the local elections, and the car was shaking the entire time. And she looks at me, she goes, "Dustin, I don't think this is right." So trust me. And then I had to drive it to the job that I have now, which I love. Had to drive it all the way to my office and all the way back. Had my blinkers on because I was the car was shaking for took about an hour each way.
Who was shaking more, you or the car?
Oh, I was in tears.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah,
Probably
so both
you.
of us.
I gotta say, Dusty's story right there is a good way to explain the must bus last year.
That's very
That's
much
why
so.
you don't care about secret
Arkansas
basketball.
basketball,
Shaking.
yeah. Transition gone.
Completely unstoppable, just a runaway freight train into nothingness. But let's get to our top stories going into the new college basketball season. This is obviously not our official college basketball preview pod. We will have one a little bit closer to when we tip this thing off. We'll talk about each conferences, our picks, Final Four, things like that. But this is kind of a good primer before we get to that point. But my top story was Rick Pitino coming back to Lexington. Probably one of the most fascinating things I think that has happened the entire offseason of a chaos-filled offseason. Rick Pitino shows up in a blue pullover and is addressing the fans at Big Blue Madness, and I think it needs to be played. And Rick Pitino had some pretty cool words to say, which I'm going to get your guys' thoughts, and I'm going to give my thoughts about what we heard from that night at Rupp Arena.
I am so happy to be back. I said before I pack it in coaching, I want to go back to Camelot for one more time. And there's no way I could return better. This is one of the best nights I've had in a long time because I visit all my players. I visit the fans that made me happy for every single day for 8 years. And now we get to root for a gentleman that there have been a lot of great coaches here, a lot of great ones, but we get to root for someone that name Kentucky is what he's all about.
So, man, Rick Pitino bringing down the house. First off, I think my biggest takeaway from all of this is the fact that you have a sitting head coach at another Division I college basketball team coming back to the school that he won a national championship at to address that crowd. First thing I think of is I don't know of any other coach in college basketball that would do that. One. Two, I think he's confident that St. John's going to be pretty good this year. You don't do that if you don't know your team is going to be pretty good. But it was almost as if watching that happen and play out, it was almost as if the weight of Calipari was lifted off of everyone's shoulders that night. Because not only did Rick Pitino come back, which Cal would never have let that happen, one, and then Mark Stoops was at Big Blue Madness too. So it was almost as
Might be his last one, though.
Maybe, after what he said. But it feels like Kentucky is getting back to what they have always wanted to be, but it's been a long road to get there.
Yeah, I believe, I don't know what the exact... It was less than 10 years ago, Rick Pitino was the head coach of Louisville, walking off the court and giving the Lexington crowd the double bird to the crowd. So
yes.
That's where we just were less than 10 years ago. Because, again, it was very... a lot of animosity between Rick Pitino and the Lexington faithful. Mm-hmm. And he left them for the Celtics and takes a Louisville job. And the Pitino versus Cal for a long time. Just, again, probably one of the biggest rivalries of college basketball. So... I mean, the question of this is, what's the motivation to do this by Rick Pitino? And I think there's a lot of things can be true. One, I think he does. I don't know. He on a pod about on Part of My Take less than a year ago, he said his biggest regret was leaving the University of Kentucky, which who knows how true that is. But again, he's been talking about Kentucky a lot recently, so I do think there was motivation to go back. His former player's now the head coach.
Right.
He's no longer the coach at Louisville, so it's probably a lot easier to do, and he's not very happy, to put it mildly, at the University of Louisville. But to me, I think a big part of this, too, is a mini shot at John Calipari.
Yeah.
The first chance he gets to go back to Big Blue Mass, he does go back. And again, like, I think Mark Pope being there, I think that is motivation, too. Like,
sure.
If pick a random coach Kentucky could have hired, they would have hired Natos. Does this happen? Maybe. I'm not really sure.
Probably not, honestly.
That's why I don't think it does either, but I think Pope being there now makes it a lot easier. But again, I think this has a lot to do with John Calipari as well. It's just so Rick Pitino. It's just so funny. It's so good. Like Robbie said, he is literally a power 4 or power 5. What the heck it is
Big
now.
E still, yeah.
Yeah, so nice job, Ricky P.
You're the former player over there, Dusty. What did you think of everything that transpired that night in Lexington?
So, unfortunately, I was not at it, and I was invited to it. My wife and I were invited down there and did not go because we had other things going on, unfortunately.
Went to the zoo on Saturday.
Cool.
He did.
Put that out. Shout out to Calvin Gunter, big-time listener.
Nice.
Yeah, I was with him for that. It was, I've spoken about how I feel about John Calipari. Still love that man to death, and I liked him, as I've said, when he was at UMass when I was, 10 years old. I'm starting to see that he definitely did have a deflection from Kentucky basketball and just the way that he treated like a business rather than what Kentucky's always been known as, which is like an amazing basketball school. And it's kind of sad to see. And so seeing Rick Pitino come on, which I have to tell you guys real quick, and our listeners is so funny. So Haley and I on Friday were watching something. We had
Your wife, Haley, by the way.
My wife, Haley.
Yes.
We had Big Blue Madness on, and Coach Pope, when he was doing his introductory speech, because we met him when we watched them do the non-scrimmage.
The exhibition.
The exhibition, thank you. She goes, "Oh, Mr. Pope." And I was like, "Yeah, it's Coach Pope." But yeah,
Mr. Pope.
Yeah.
That's why we love the first ladies of the pod, right there.
Correct. The joy that you could see in Rick Pitino's face was amazing. That's what I couldn't get over.
Yeah.
He wanted to be there, you could tell, and it shows that him and John Calipari clearly did not have any type of relationship, which shows why that. I don't even know how to describe it. It makes me sad because I love Calipari so much, but
I think there was an underlying disconnect.
There's a jadedness to it.
Yes.
Well, it
and that
should
was,
be noted, Cal and Patino have not liked each other for a
Forever.
long time.
For
And
a
he was the
while,
head
yeah.
coach at Louisville, so it did make it
Correct.
tricky for someone
it's
like
just
that.
that whole time. Now looking back on it, you kind of realize Cal kind of shielded himself from everyone
Yes.
else that really wanted to connect with Kentucky in that
that's
program.
what Friday meant to me, too,
Yeah.
which is sad because for someone who played for Gillespie, his biggest issue was he was destroying relationships. And now I'm kind of looking back for someone who defends Calipari all the time. Did Cal destroy relationships at Kentucky?
Sure.
And now I'm afraid he may have. Because, again, to see both Pitino and Mark Stoops be there, and like Nick said, might be Stoops.
I hope it is. I'm done with him.
Last Madness.
Why?
I'm sick of
He
him.
just won a top 10 Ole Miss a couple weeks ago.
And then they lost to Vandy.
Does the Vandy
But Vandy
Then
might be
Vandy beat Alabama.
Yeah,
Okay,
Vandy's the best
Vandy
in
is
the
a
country.
powerhouse now.
But it's the parlay of the last couple of years. I think it's just time for us. This is our second season. I'm already trying to fire another Kentucky.
Careful what you
coach.
wish for there, Chief.
Well, I'm well aware. It's a high.
You want
high
Ryan
risk.
Walters?
Wow, he just threw Chief at you.
Nope. I'll take Stoops.
But,
I did throw a Chief at you.
But point being, though, did Calipari do the same thing as Gillespie, where he parlayed it in a sense, and it's like he kept destroying the relationships? I mean, there's the Kentucky basketball family, which I've learned ever since I've been invited back into it, as we talked about in the last year, is awesome. So many people care. I mean, the fact that, seeing Ramel Bradley again on Friday night coming out with everyone is so cool. Rex Chapman was there. I mean, obviously, I'm close to Cameron Mills. I'm close to the Goose. I actually, one of the guys I went to college with at Kentucky, his children took a picture with the Goose, and he posted on Facebook, and I didn't say anything to him because I don't want to be that guy, but it was just like, I've actually become friends with him. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things where this is a very close fraternity, and I really do think that now looking back in hindsight that Calipari kind of distanced it and made it more about the NBA aspect than the Kentucky basketball aspect.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not at all. Those
And I
guys
think,
all-
I think it's that close fraternity's always been there at Kentucky, but now we're kind of seeing it above the surface, and we actually see a coach that embraces it. And I can tell, and you can see how much it means to you that now you can kind of, be able to formally be able to talk about that, about a new head coach, because, again, it's a different mindset of that program when Cal was there.
I will push back. I think this was more about Rick Pitino than this about John Calipari. Like, to me, I'm guessing there's not a lot of... There's probably some Kentucky fans that are not happy to see him back at Rupp Arena.
So what do you think? Is does this bury the hatchet officially, or there's always going to be fans that will never forgive him? I think
overwhelming majority. Sheesh, that was not very well said right there. Are happy with Pitino coming back to probably bury the hatchet. Because again, he probably hates Louisville just as much as they all do now. But
absolutely,
there's probably a good chunk of the fan base that's still like, yeah, he still left us for Louisville. And again, was flipped off the Lexington crowd like 8 years ago. So like,
it wasn't that long ago.
Again, so, to me, it's just more about Rick Pitino being slick Rick, always up to something.
He has not changed at all. He has not changed one bit.
Because I do get what Dusty's saying too. Because like pre-Cal, he probably didn't like embrace all his players, but like there was like a lot of familia, like all those former NBA players that Cal coach did come back often, but to your point, like, I don't know, guys from the 80s and 90s, 70s, I'm not sure how often they would come back.
Yeah, and well, let me say that again. And again, for not a lot of people listening to this, I mean, it's like we have a million followers, but I love John Calipari.
Don't shortchange us.
What was that for?
All right, sorry, we don't have 4 million followers. I love John Calipari. I always will.
I'm going to start charging you $1 when you say that now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's the third time now.
Regardless, though, but you're right, though. I mean, the players from the 80s and 90s are not coming back. And the two events that I've been to, they have come back. And that's more of an indictment on Pope more than anything. And how he's so focused on, let's make this a cultural thing. And, yeah, you're right. The La Familia thing was huge. And John Calipari did an amazing job at getting all these guys in the NBA and building a culture that was like, hey, I'm going to get you guys paid. And it's kind of a culture shift now.
Yeah.
So
it's nice and warm and fuzzy right now, but if the winds don't come,
I know
that whole culture thing is going to mean jack squat.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So, but yeah, it's nice that it's kind of come back, and it's definitely been cool to see. Speaking of all the coaching, the crazy coaching, Nick, that's your top story. The carousel gave you whiplash if you were following along with what was happening in college basketball this offseason. So just run through the carousel of names that we have seen shift and move on, and it's been wild, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about this a lot this year, but I feel like we just got to re-emphasize there was so much coaching turnover from last year. So I have it on my phone. I'm going to try to run through these quick. All right, you guys ready for this?
I can't wait for this.
We have Andy Enfield leave for SMU, which opened up USC. Eric Musselman left Arkansas for a USC job, which let John Calipari leave the Kentucky job to Arkansas. Okay, you guys with me so far?
I'm there.
Mark Pope left BYU to Kentucky, okay, which left the door open for Kyle Young from the assistant coach from the Phoenix Suns, who was very well respected when I believe Monty Williams got fired. A lot of people thought he was going to get the job in Phoenix, so a lot of people really like him there. We mentioned Slick Rick. He was once a coach at University of Louisville. Former Louisville head coach Chris Mack to College of Charleston. Why was that job open, you might ask? Because Pat Kelsey left College of Charleston for the University of Louisville.
Pat Kelsey is a goober, by the way. Full-fledged goober.
That man seems like he's coked out. I'm not accusing him. He has a lot of energy. God bless him. I wish I could have that kind of energy.
Same.
Well, rapid fire. Dusty May to Michigan.
Yep.
Michigan's rival, Ohio State. Diebler. He was the interim head coach. He's still there. They retained him. Speaking of Ohio State, Chris Holtman fired to DePaul. He's now the DePaul head coach.
Oh, gosh.
DePaul with an L, by the way, not a W for you out there. Speaking of DePaul, that's an Indiana school. Or DePaul, the W. Indiana State. Is it John Schertz?
Josh Schertz.
Josh Schertz left Indiana State to St. Louis. Another round one's Kyle Smith, who took Washington State to round 32 last year. Left for Stanford in a very interesting move. Speaking of Washington, Danny Sprinkle left Utah State to Washington. Is it Kyle DeVries? I didn't write down either.
Yeah, DeVries, yep.
DeVries left Drake to West Virginia because Huggy Bear did some things last year. And another Ram thing that I did not know this happened, Kwanzaa Martin went to Missouri State.
Yeah, Kwanzaa Martin's there now, yeah.
Had no memory of that.
State.
So those 14 notable coaching changes. I'm sure I forgot others. I mean, you can throw in Hurdle. Hurdle. What's his last name?
Who?
Danny. Who's the head coach at UConn?
Dan Hurley.
Hurley. Thank you.
National champion.
I kept saying Hurdle. Yeah, but he got re-signed.
Not important.
Scott Drew stayed. Nate Oates stayed. Just a lot happened this offseason with coaching.
Can we get a round of applause for Nick's research?
Thank you. Except I forgot Danny Hurley's last name. Other than that, I think I did a great job. Oh, and JJ Ricks is the Lakers head coach. Correct.
95 out of 100. You still get an A on it.
Yeah, so just a lot of coaching turnover.
Very
just
much
the
so.
thing to take away from.
Yeah. Dusty, what is your takeaway 20 days until we tip things off?
I'm just pumped.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have anything in particular. I think I'm interested with all the conference realignment, how things are going to be. Obviously, Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. We have USC, UCLA, Washington, and in Oregon. Thank you. Join the Big Ten, and we've seen in college football how exciting that's been. So I'm excited to see how it's going to be in college basketball as well. Okay, try not to make this a Kentucky podcast, so I'm just going to say it once. But how awesome is it, though, that Arkansas at Kentucky, Saturday night, 9 o'clock at Rupp Arena.
The vitriol that is going to be in that place.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my word.
A lot of bourbon will be consumed before that basketball game.
Correct.
9 p.m. on a Saturday tip is...
Yes.
I'm just glad it's
gonna
a
be
Saturday
amazing.
and not a Tuesday night or like a Wednesday night. I'm glad they did it on a weekend where we could actually fully prepare ourselves mentally for what that's going to be.
Cannot wait.
That's going to be insane.
So, I mean, for me, I guess I'll just say, another exciting season. I'd like to hear how you feel about Purdue.
Yeah.
But I'm just pumped in general. I think you said it in our text group. I think Alabama is probably the best team in the country.
Talent-wise, it's hard to make an argument against that, yes.
Yeah.
And so speaking of the best team in the country, it is not Alabama, according to the Associated Press. It is Kansas. The Kansas Jayhawks are the preseason #1 team, according to the Associated Press, in the preseason top 25 that goes such like Kansas at 1, Alabama 2, UConn at 3, Houston 4, Iowa State is 5th, Gonzaga 6, Duke 7, Baylor 8, North Carolina 9, Arizona 10. That's way too high. Auburn 11 is too high. Tennessee at 12, Texas A&M 13. The Purdue Boilermakers are at 14, Creighton 15, Arkansas 16. It's pretty high. IU's at 17, Marquette 18, Texas 19, Cincinnati 20, Florida's 21, UCLA 22, Kentucky 23, Ole Miss 24, Rutgers 25, teams that just missed out, Illinois, St. John's, Xavier, Texas Tech, Wake Forest amongst those.
Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you two that I'm going to flip. Illinois is going to be better,
I agree.
and Florida is going to fall off.
Really? Why? Because I disagree. I think Florida's going to be really good this year.
I don't. I don't like the coaching. I don't like
Okay.
how they played last year.
You're not here for the golden age, Crab?
Maybe my brother swayed me negatively. You guys know I have a heart for Florida. Of
course.
They just play so fundamentally sound in a sense that sounds like so old school.
Yeah.
But they just don't play in a way that I feel like it's just, hey, roll the ball out.
So you're down on them not because of the roster per se. You're just more in the philosophy
Correct.
of the said university. Okay. Chomp chomp.
I think them adding Elijah Martin is a big add from FAU. Walter Clayton's probably the best shooter in the country, for my money, next to Mark
you?
Sears. If it's in the corner, no, but anywhere else.
Cody Brea from Dayton shot 50%.
He did shoot 50% from 3. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, he's in that list too. But anyway, I just want to see Olivier Rioux, that 7'9" guy for Florida. I really hope he plays.
And by the way, that's not him over-exaggerating. He is 7 foot
7'9".
He's so big.
So, and you may be wondering why didn't Purdue take him or recruit him? Well, they did recruit him, but they realized that he has the quickness and footwork of a 55-year-old Luka Garza. So that should put you in perspective that he's slow.
He needs about 17 steak dinners too. That guy is a string bean.
He's a little thin. But okay, so we talked about that. KenPom, though, I think this is pretty fascinating.
Can I just say something that jumped out to me on the AP poll? The SEC had 9 teams.
9.
Only one in the top 10.
Yeah.
So like they're just all bunched up according to the AP poll in like this like what do you call it, like the B tier, the C tier of college basketball. Like
B tier, yeah.
Again,
sure.
so 8 teams between ranked 11th and 24th. That's pretty crazy.
Which is funny because KenPom has 2 in the top 4, Auburn and Alabama. But KenPom has Houston starting off number 1 this year, which I found fascinating. Purdue's at 10. My favorite part of KenPom is IU is 39th.
Nowhere to be found in the top 20.
Not in the top 25. Torvik also has Houston as number 1, Duke at 2. Any other outliers there?
I should say
30th there.
Texas Tech was not ranked, but they were 15th at KenPom.
Yeah, and 20th in Torvik. So a lot of the computers are pretty high on Texas Tech, which I found fascinating. Anything else that jumped out on whether it was top 25, Torvik, KenPom?
Just on KenPom, I thought it was interesting that Nova and St. John's were in the top 20, and Xavier was nowhere to be found. I'd put them above both of them.
Villanova, I don't understand that
Especially
one.
Nova aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, St. John's, Xavier, I'll probably would put in the same tier.
St. John's is the top 25 team, I think. I think Kadari Richmond makes them a very tough team. But Villanova, I mean, we saw them last year. They were arguably more talented last year, and they were not good last year. So thought that was interesting.
And one more on KenPom. I think a lot of people have Kansas as their number 1 team. There's 6 on KenPom, which I thought was
very interesting. Yeah, I think Kansas's 6 or 7 best are as good as anyone else. After that 6 and 7, it kind of trails off a little bit. So maybe that's why you don't see Kansas as high on the computer metrics.
Kansas hasn't been to a second weekend in 3 years now, which is a long time for them.
I think this is the year of changes, though. That team is really dang good. All right, so that's the top 25 preseason. I'm sure we'll get the coaches poll, which means nothing. For those who don't know, the coaches poll is not actually voted on by the coaches. Basically, the sports information directors send in their votes every single week. It's not done by the coaches. Very few coaches actually do it.
What do you mean, Robbie? It says coaches poll. What do you mean?
Yeah, it doesn't actually.
Just like find out Santa isn't real. Tough one.
Tough one. Or the Tooth Fairy.
Or the Easter Bunny.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, confirmed. Dang it. Guy in a suit the whole time.
I should have known. Anyway, so after we talked about top 25, I want to talk about our 5 best players in college basketball this season. You want me to go first?
Should we make Dusty go first?
I just got a reminder to move on my Apple Watch, by the way.
Well, do you want to go first, or do you want to go first?
A little peek behind the curtain here, if I may. Poor Dusty is working hard today at his fake job, so he got here a little late today. So he was running through his top 5 players.
He was
as we were starting the pod. So I'm intrigued.
I am excited for this.
My last text to Robbie and Nick was literally, we're taking a group picture right now, and then I had to hop in my car and head over here.
And then you asked, is there going to be music for this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, there is. Don't you worry.
Okay.
So shout crowd for commitment to the pod.
There is music for this. Dusty's top 5.
Wow, is this? Do you want to be a millionaire?
Wants to be a millionaire, yeah.
All right, top 5 players for this year from Dusty Mills, former Kentucky basketball player. Number 5, from the University of North Carolina, R.J. Davis.
Boo. Make a shot in the tournament, you bum.
Number 4, from Auburn, Johnny Boone.
I think it's overrated.
Number 3, not related to the former Dolphins running back, Jay Ajayi, Michael.
Wow,
Ajayi
Michael Ajayi from Gonzaga? Dang, okay.
Number 2, thanks to his performance against the U.S. Olympic team, Cooper Flagg, Duke.
Interesting choice.
Number 1, I think he's my age. I'm really not sure. I'm I'm just going to call him Mark Sears. At
Old
this point.
Mark
I
Sears.
think he has to be more professional when he's like 46.
Number one player in college basketball.
Mark Sears.
All right, Nick, give us your top 5.
I just wrote down 5 players. Have to put them in order real quick.
Real quick. Do it now.
Number 5. My guy, LJ Cryer.
Love LJ.
University of Baylor. Very good. Number 4, my sneaky player of the year pick at plus 3,000. Robbie already crapped on Dusty for him. John A. Broom.
No,
Number 4.
not happening.
I just think he's going to do a lot for him this year. I think
He is, but
he's going to put gaudy
I think
numbers.
he's overrated.
Number 3.
Robbie looks pissed off too
I
as
know.
he says that.
We're on a couch today, by the way, so it's, I thought it'd be more relaxed.
Very
vibe.
relaxed.
Much more relaxed
Robbie's
now.
like minister with this music looking at us.
Yeah.
Number 3, white boy stand up, Cooper Flag, Razor
Flag,
Flag,
baby.
high. So fitting he went to Duke. Can't wait to hate him. Player hate, I should say. We don't.
Oh,
Hate.
no, we hate him.
side
Don't
note,
worry.
We talk about the boozers at some point.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, we should talk about the Boozer twins. Yes.
Number 2, Robbie's guy, R.J. Davis. R.J. Davis.
I hate your guys' lists.
Hey, he's the preseason favorite for Wooden Award, so clearly we know something, Robbie.
He's played. I would hope he's played college basketball for 6 years.
And for yeah, Fletcher Lawyer, number 1. Number 1, Mark Sears. Just keep it easy.
Mark.
Kirk.
All right.
Kirk.
Do you want the real list here?
Not particularly.
Yeah, the real list. I have Cooper Flag, an honorable mention, but he did not get my top 5.
OLI, outside looking in.
Correct. Yes, OLI. At number 5, it is Grant Nelson of Alabama.
Oh,
I
okay.
love Grant Nelson. I think he's
two
awesome.
white boys so far, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
baby. Number 4, you guys missed out on the best player in college basketball,
Mark Sears.
Wade Taylor from Texas A&M, who's going to average.
36 shots a game.
I was going to say, does he
Yeah.
average more shots or more points this year?
Shots for sure.
Probably.
Wait, so how you rip on R.J. Davis for his tournament
At
performance? and now
number
rip on
3,
Wade Taylor.
At number he closed that Houston game out. If it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have even been in that game at the end.
What are you talking about?
At number 3, Gonzaga's Ryan Nembhard.
Oh, okay.
Love his game. Think he's one of the best players in college basketball this year. At number 2,
Robert.
I am pissed that none of you said Braden Smith.
I was
Number 2? Braden Smith is the second best player in college basketball.
All right,
this year.
show's ending.
And at number 1,
He's not the second best player in college basketball.
we take a trip to.
Wait, no. We're stop right now.
What do you want?
Stop
What?
the music too before you get to move on.
What?
2 years ago, he couldn't dribble.
Did you watch him at Westfield? He was the best player on the court when he was playing in high school.
He's the second best player in college
He's the
basketball.
second best player in college basketball this year. You're going to
Okay.
see it too.
I'm sorry.
He's going to be
viewers that
first team
decide not to
All-American.
Listen anymore.
He's going to be first team All-American.
All right, get
So
the
R.J. Davis is not your top 5.
And
but
at
Braden
number
Smith is
1
number
Yeah, let's
2.
hear.
Okay.
We take a trip to Nashville, Tennessee to see our good pal AJ Hogard and wave goodbye as we make a trip down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to see Mark Sears as the number 1 player in college basketball this year. By the way, AJ Hogard's at Vanderbilt. I did not know that until today. Did you know that?
I
The
did
Michigan
not know
State
that.
player?
No, I did not.
Everyone,
So-
tell a loved one AJ Hogarth at Vanderbilt. Everyone needs to know this.
I don't. How are R.J. Davis, Caleb Love, and A.J. Hogard still in college basketball? How is that possible?
Dickinson's in that.
Hunter Dickinson's in the same conversation too.
Well, I thought about him, and I just no.
I had Love. My 3 honorable mentions were Love, Kalkbrenner, and Dickinson.
Kalkbrenner's another good one. Caleb Love, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I have enough
I
with
started
him.
to write down Kalkbrenner, but you guys know how I feel about
You,
Creighton.
you need to emphasize the caulk more. You sounds like you're saying Kalkbrenner.
Well, that's how I feel about him.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
That's why my 3 honorable mentions were Dick, Love, and Kalk.
All right. Number 2, Robbie. Number two. When we come back to this pod in March and Braden Smith is first team All-American, I'm going to shove it all in your faces.
R.J. Davis was 21 points a game last year.
You're shoving the Kalkbrenner.
How many points did he score in the NCAA tournament game against Alabama?
That's a deciding factor.
9. He was like 1 for 15 from 3.
Just one bad
RJ,
game.
yes.
And he can't get
But he was
time of
that
Braden
bad.
Smith.
Braden Smith is better than R.J. Davis.
By the way, you had 3 white guys in your top 5, which big for the whites.
What are you trying to say?
Not the White Sox.
Not the White Sox. No, rough year for them.
And for our listeners, I will say I've never seen Robbie so fired up.
Because I'm legitimately,
I
legitimately believe Braden Smith is a top 5 player, and I think he's the second best player in the country.
I think he's top 5 on his team.
Oh boy,
I'm so excited to follow this year now.
Yeah.
Braden's.
Sorry, it's going to be a Purdue podcast again.
Do we want to go through?
We're following Braden Smith.
Let's go through some new faces and new places once again, because I'm not sure that people fully understand the amount of names that have changed places. Like, truly shocking. Let's just run through a couple of them, shall we? You guys remember Doug McDaniel at Michigan?
Oh, yeah.
He's at Kansas State now.
Yes,
Did you know
is.
that? Did not know that. Kanye Clary. Remember him at Penn State, that little fiery guard?
Of course I do.
He's at Mississippi State now. I'm sure everyone remembers that, right? Jonas Adu, we remember him at Tennessee. He has become one of the battalion at Kentucky. Or not. Wow. At Tennessee, at Arkansas. Good gosh.
John Calipari is the coach at Arkansas.
Correct, yes, thank you.
We've made mention on this podcast.
Your boy Vlad.
My boy Vlad.
Vlad Golden is now at Michigan with Dusty May. Nellie Davis is at Arkansas. Great Osobor now at Washington. Huskies paid him $2 million reportedly, which is an outrageous amount of money. I had mentioned it on our pod about 2 months ago. I love Jeremy Roach at Baylor. I think that's a great move for him. And Baylor is my sneaky team to watch out for this year. They're going to be really good. Rylan Griffin, great shooter from Alabama, shot like 45% for them. He's now at Kansas. Are you excited for Kerr Kriisa?
We'll talk a lot about Kirk Kriisa. I can see going multiple different directions.
It's going to go badly. It always goes badly with Kirk Kriisa.
Not necessarily. It's all about the culture, Rob.
No, it's going to go badly.
It's about the fit atmosphere.
Do you know where Tony Perkins is now? He's not at Iowa.
No idea.
He's in Missouri now.
Sure.
Okay. Michi Johnson is probably the best one of them all. Was at Ohio State. Went to South Carolina last year. He's now back at Ohio State.
The quote, Matthew McConaughey, sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards.
That is correct. Yes, very good. Roddy Gale, maybe the biggest heel turn of them all, went from Ohio State to Michigan. Kids these days, I swear. Any other ones that I am missing or that you remember?
The big one, I'll be honest, Kadari Richmond going from Seton Hall to St. John's.
That's a big
love
one.
him, and just another big time gift for
That's a great one,
Rich.
for sure.
For Rick, sorry, not Rich. Pitino.
But here's Jamal Mashburn Jr. Remember him in New Mexico? He's now at Temple.
Which, speaking of New Mexico, sidebar, are we gonna try and hype up the Mountain West again this year? Are we gonna try it?
We'll hype him up.
Okay.
But when we get to the tournament, we're a San Diego State pod.
Okay, fair. I like that.
Okay,
Thank you,
good.
Rob.
I'm just making sure we're on the same page there. Outside of that, Big Z. Excited to see him at Arkansas. I don't know how that's going to work.
He's not shooting 3-pointers anymore.
No, he's not. We're just going to see about that.
I was going to mention that. I don't understand why he would not stay at Kentucky and play in Pope's system.
I don't know either. That's a great question.
Can't handle the lights. Can you say?
Adu Thiero is also at Arkansas, by the way, in case you didn't know.
And DJ Wagner.
Wagner. Dane Danger went from Illinois to Memphis.
Memphis got Tyrese Hunter. Got him as well.
Yes, they got him in Memphis. Memphis should be good this year.
They're the betting favorite in the American, so take that.
That's not really saying
Take
much.
that what you will.
Yeah.
By the way, didn't Penny Hardaway, didn't he fire a lot of his assistants?
He
Did you see
did,
that story?
like
That
a
was-
couple weeks ago.
That was a very odd story.
Odd move,
Just
yes.
something came out.
It's funny that you mentioned the American. I want to go through basically what we're now going to call the Power Four in college basketball. The Big East we did not include, but the conference championship picks according to the media outlets. We're going to start with the ACC. They picked R.J. Davis as their preseason player of the year.
Great pick.
Terrible pick.
Great pick.
The pick in the order, top 3, Duke, North Carolina. Wake Forest getting a lot of hype this year.
Yeah.
Interesting one.
Wake Forest has just been in this, like...
Are they good? Are they bad?
Yeah, kinda
Can
like-
they actually be good?
Remember Seth Greenberg's VOD text teams were constantly on the bubble?
Yes.
That's just now what Wake Forest is constantly every year now.
Yeah. That's what it felt
Forbes,
like.
is that the head coach? Scott?
Yeah, Steve Forbes.
Steve Forbes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
The new Seth Greenberg. Shout
That's
out.
correct. In the Big Ten, the preseason player of the year is...
Coleman
Smith.
Hawkins somehow. How that
How
happen?
did Coleman Hawkins come in there? Braden Smith was the preseason player of the year in the Big Ten.
Voted by who?
The media.
Okay.
Smart people. The Big Ten's going to finish in this order according to the media. Purdue, IU, UCLA ahead of Illinois, which I was shocked by. Illinois 4th, Michigan State 5th. As much as it pains me to say it, I think Illinois is going to be really good this year.
Is it addition by subtracting, losing your boy CH, Coleman Hawkins?
Yes, 100% yes.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that take at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Underwood's got them roll. They're usually
They'll be
top
good,
30.
and I still think they went away from what was working in that UConn game last year, where Marcus Damask was playing that booty ball, and like that was when they were at their best. They should have just let Damask go for 60.
Instead, they let a 30-0 run from UConn.
30-0 run.
All right, so real expectations when Braden Smith doesn't win Big Ten Player of the Year, where do you think Purdue finishes?
Wait, hold on.
Well, the Big Ten's interesting because, like...
No, stop. You said when Braden Smith doesn't win Big Ten Player of the Year.
Correct.
Okay, so I can't answer that question because he's going to.
Okay, so where's Purdue finish in the Big Ten? Do you think... I'm not even being a jackass anymore. Like, realistic, do you think they're the best team in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think they are the best team in the Big Ten. I think Illinois is going to finish second. I do think Purdue is going to win the Big Ten this year. I think Illinois is going to be second.
I hate to say this to some of our good fans. Joe Steele, who I just golfed with last week, I really think IU is going to be a letdown this year.
I think they're going to make the tournament, but I do think that we have given them some expectations that I'm not sure that they're going to be able to reach.
Yes, I'm with you, and I'm not even trying to be mean about it. Like
No.
I just they continue to show that there's high expectations and they want to be back. They want to be the cream of the crop, and they're just
Are
not.
they going to be better this year than last year? Though
No, I don't. I don't.
Really?
Okay.
I think they're going to. I mean, I think they're going to be better.
That was a different level than.
Okay.
I'm thinking expectation level. Last year they had high expectations and undersold themselves.
Sure.
I'm going to guess they're a 9 seed and get in the tournament.
I'd give them a 6 or a 7, honestly.
The questions are I use the same thing we've asked about Mike Woodson. Do all the pieces really fit? 'Cause they could have a lineup with just 3 non-shooters with Miles Rice, Renew, and Ballo. So like again, you could tell me IU all the talent works together and they're really freaking good to win the Big Ten, or as you said Woodson before, just it feels clunky at times.
It does.
One of my favorite stats about Woodson is their preseason ranking in KenPom every year. They have finished below it every single year. Under Woodson. So, but again, I'm a little more optimistic about them than you guys, especially you, Dusty. But again, there's just a very real chance
for them. I know we have a Purdue guy here,
but I think about the whole Big Ten. They're all like in that like 15 to 26 range. All these Big Ten teams. So like I don't know. One of them's going to be good. I just don't know which one.
I think everyone keeps hoping that IU is going to be good and return to the old glory of the Hoosier lore where they were back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And that just those years have passed them by. Can they still be a good team? Absolutely. They've got all the talent to make this one of their better teams they've had. The problem is, again, back to what you said, Nick, is it's a bunch of puzzle pieces that don't feel like they fit. And we say it every year with IU. It's all the talent's awesome. Can you shoot it?
Yeah.
They got 1, maybe 2 good shooters. Luke Goody can shoot it. 100%. He's their best shooter. Who's their second best shooter? Probably Mackenzie Mbako.
Obviously, it's probably Mbako. I mean,
and that's scary.
Cups, maybe?
Gabe Cups is not a good shooter. I mean, you could say Trey Galloway, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But, like, this is... College basketball, more so than ever, is predicated on good shooters. You have to be able to shoot the 3. If you can't, you limit your ability offensively significantly. So it's funny that IU is kind of taking a page out of the Purdue playbook in a sense, where they go out and get a 7-1 guy, Omar Ballo, to try to play in the paint. But they didn't really need that. So I don't know. I think everyone thinks that IU is going to be good. On paper, it looks like they should be good. But unless Miles Rice and Kanan Carlisle take a huge step in their ability to shoot from 3, I still think they're going to come up as a maybe top 4, top 5 team in the Big Ten. Maybe.
Which kind of stinks because I like when IU's good. I think it's
great for conversation. Absolutely.
The tradition of college basketball. I think it's awesome, and especially when Assembly Hall's rowdy as hell.
Yeah.
And you get those big games there.
Sure.
Just randomly think of Michigan State coming into town or whatnot, and or Duke or whoever it's going to be.
Well, see, that's not happening this year because their non-conference schedule is an absolute joke.
It is a cupcake.
You want me to run through it again for you? I have it here.
Hell yeah.
Which is weird. IU usually plays a tough non-conference schedule.
No, not this year.
Not this year.
I was being sarcastic when I said that for the record.
Okay, good.
Just for the audience.
Wait, I believe they lead off with Hamilton Heights, Southeastern Fishers, and then Zionsville.
Well, they have Linton Stockton a little bit later
And
after
Linton
that.
Stockton, down the road.
So they start with SIU Edwardsville, then Eastern Illinois, which again, every college basketball team starts with some teams to get you going.
Secret scrimmage. When I was at Ball State, we scrimmaged Edwardsville.
Did you?
Yep.
Nice.
And then played our home opener.
I was at that
That's
game. The home
weird.
opener.
Mm-hmm.
You scrimmaged and then you played them?
Yes. We're talking about Ball State.
Not the
Okay.
best idea. So SIU Edwardsville, then Eastern Illinois, then a down South Carolina team. Okay. UNC Greensboro. They played Louisville this year.
That's awesome.
Sam Houston, Miami, Ohio. And then their last two other non-conference, or they got two other non-conference games, Chattanooga and Winthrop. That's it.
Winthrop was good like a decade ago.
And Chattanooga's usually pretty good, too.
Yeah. Greg Marshall got Winthrop going strong.
So, do they lose any of those non-conference games?
That Louisville IU game. Where's that game at?
It's, I believe...
The Mill.
The Mill.
I wish. They're playing in the Bahamas. They're playing. That's Battle for Atlantis.
Okay.
But
at least they're playing in a tournament then.
Yes, but Atlantis is not very good this year. So, they legitimately... So the Big Ten obviously plays those two conference games in December, and their two conference games are at home to Minnesota. Should be a win. Minnesota was better last year, but not. I think they're going to take a step back this year. And then at Nebraska, which is always a tough place to play, but Keisei Tominaga is not there anymore to haunt the dreams of everyone. So
I have a top.
IU could legitimately be undefeated, and they will have played absolutely no one on their schedule.
I have a top 5 for next show.
Was it?
Top 5 college basketball venues you want to go to. Because when you said Minnesota, I thought about the Barn.
That's a good question.
That
so
would be
like,
good.
is it just strictly home course, or could we throw like Maui in there?
Or like no places that you want to go to,
Want
not
to go to.
necessarily the best atmosphere.
Correct.
Stuff.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
That'd be a fun
It doesn't
topic
have
to
to be
talk about.
Fog Allen. It has to be like what would be really cool.
Which
to
I
go
actually
to.
do. That Fog Allen would be in my top 5.
Real
Okay.
quick, one last thing I do. I do like M'Baku and Renew. I kind of wish that's why Balls. I would love that duo out there.
And Baco has to take a big step this year.
I'm trying to be the
Same
IU
thing.
positive guy in the show.
I
for
agree.
my mother out there.
Same. I'm rooting for IU. I do not root against IU. Just for
I
the
would not
record.
say I'm rooting for
I know
them.
Robbie probably does. I don't root against them.
I
root against
I go
them?
back and forth on rooting. I don't root for them per se, unless Kathy's in the room. Love you, Mom. That's
And
all.
our late grandfather, George.
Yeah, I don't root
No,
for
I was just
IU.
trying to make that sad. I'm just saying, like, he's the reason I rooted for IU and growing up
I will say I take great joy
and watching them lose.
when they lose and they get upset, because I want to be like, well, I told you so. But also at the same time, it's like, you know what, they are people too. They have feelings.
Robbie
they were
definitely
just led
does look
astray.
like the guy who says, "I told you so."
I hate to be that kind of person, but unfortunately, I have to be that way.
Someone's got to be.
Someone's got to be.
Who's your daddy?
We got away from the other conference championships, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Big 12, Hunter Dickinson, preseason player of the year. It's going to finish in this order, which I was surprised that Kansas over Houston, and then Iowa State third, Baylor fourth, and then Arizona fifth. Interesting.
I had my most notes on the Big 12. First of all, I thought Dickinson was being the player of the year is interesting because you mentioned Kansas is so like deep. I just don't know if his numbers would be gaudy enough compared
They
to
won't be, yeah.
compared to have some rent down. Like an LJ Cryer could put up some numbers.
Cryer's a
Lipsy
big-
Iowa State, like guys who just go put. Caleb Love will shoot the ball 28 times a game.
gosh.
By the way, people don't forget Arizona is in the Big 12 now, so remember that. So I just can't see Dickinson winning. I just don't think his numbers would just because their team's so deep, you know.
That's a good point, yeah.
All right, real quick. Favorite Arizona player of all time?
Kirk Ariza.
Miles Simon.
I was just saying Mike Bibby.
Mike Bibby. Yeah, that's good too.
Okay, continue.
Miles Simon.
Okay, beat Kentucky and Natty seems a little direct.
What's your point?
I'll never forget.
Sucks in the pros.
I'll never forget
My
with the,
favorite line, Simon says championship.
I was gonna
Billy
say-
Packer, that was his
And it
coup
was
de
the
grace.
well, I was gonna say, sadly, with all the hurricanes that went through, or the hurricane that went through last week, never forget watching the game in Tampa, And the Tampa Tribune the next day had the same headline.
Simon Says Championship.
Yep.
Such a great line.
Can I just point out, Dusty's point out that we don't have many listeners. He brought up our deceased grandfather and now hurricanes out in Florida, so we're just...
We're getting close to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse here. What's next?
Also, one more note, the Big 12, I just think it's going to be really loaded because I think Cincinnati, Texas Tech, and Kansas State all could be good. None of them were in that top 5. So.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Texas Tech. That's without Pop Isaacs.
Mm-hmm.
So, because where's Pop Isaacs now? Didn't he
so-
transfer somewhere else?
I was hoping you knew because I knew you transferred. No idea where he went.
Creighton.
There you go,
He's at
Dusty.
Creighton.
There you go, your Blue Jays.
Oh, that's going to make you mad. Lastly, okay. SEC, Mark Sears, Player of the Year. And then finishing in this order, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Florida is the top 6. I think A&M is going to be a little overrated this year, in my opinion. I think they're going to be a good team, but when Wade Taylor has a bad game, that's where they fall
They're going
off.
to be a team that defines like what he does every game.
Yeah.
And they're going to do something where they're like, how many conference games is it this year? 17, 18?
I think they're playing 20 now.
I think it's up to 20 now.
They're going to go like 11-9 and beat some teams that
And then lose
annoyed
teams,
by-
lose teams they shouldn't.
and then
Like Vandy.
Yeah, lose to a Vandy or South Carolina or whoever, and it's like how? And it's like, because Taylor went 4 for 27.
I'm going through. So they
And just another thing, Ole Miss was picked to finish 9th. They're also AP top 25. So just the top 9 of the SEC is just insanely deep.
A&M brought in some good transfers. Pharrell Payne from Minnesota, C.J. Wilcher from Nebraska. A couple ones that are popping off the page here at me. They do have a good team. I feel like we do this every year with A&M. It's like they look really good on paper, but and then they get into the season. It's like, okay, they've got some things that don't really work out well.
And again, especially of this top 9, one of them is going to be very disappointing just because not everyone can be good. So it's going to be interesting, like, what team's going to finish 9th. Or who knows, maybe it's a surprise from the bottom, like a Georgia that's a lot of hype.
Georgia's an interesting one, yeah.
Maybe one of these teams finish 10th or 11th or 12th in the SEC.
Don't you dare sleep on Mississippi State. Chris Jans has a team. And
I'm
Josh
wide awake.
Josh Hubbard is a dude with Kanye Clary. Like, I don't know how that's going to work out well, but man, his teams get after it defensively, and they are a pain to play against. So
it's crazy. SEC, they can hoop now. It's crazy how deep it is.
Best conference in the college basketball, is it SEC or Big 12 this year? What do we think? I think the SEC is better than Big 12 this year, top to bottom. I'll be honest. Adding Texas and Oklahoma. I know you want to say Big 12 because Arizona getting in as well.
9 teams in the top 25 is
It's
insane.
pretty impressive.
And then again, I like teams like Georgia and Mississippi State right behind them. So I'll go SEC.
Okay. Dusty agrees.
Same, SEC.
All right. Lastly, let's talk about some sleeper teams or teams that you think off the page, maybe we didn't mention here, but teams that you really like going into the season. Dusty, you have one off the top of your head right now? I'll let you think. There's probably a couple that you're going through. All right. Let's start, Nick, I want to start with you.
For people who don't know, I am a big Cincinnati Reds fan, which has its own issues, but they're neighbors in the city. The Cincinnati Bearcats are my sleeper team of the year, Robbie, as we are 3 weeks away. I like Wes Miller. I think this is finally the best team he's had.
He's a good coach.
These poor Bearcats fans, basically since Cronin has left, they've not really, I don't think they've made the tournament. I do not believe so. I should look that up.
Good question,
but
yeah.
They bring back a lot of players, including my boy Daniel Skilling, who averaged 13-7 this year. Crowd named Daniel Skilling. He's going to be one of the best players in the Big 12 this year. Maybe a sneaky little Big 12 Player of the Year pick.
Okay.
You hear that from me. They also add Dylan Mitchell from Texas. I just like the team. Depth crowd. We like depth on this show.
Dylan Mitchell is a shot-blocking superstar.
He's also in his 12th year of school. Shout Cam Rising.
He's been there for a bit.
I am Cincy Pill. Shout Wes Miller. Bring back the whole team. Give it to me.
I have 2.
Let's hear him.
One is, as we discussed earlier, I'm going to say St. John's.
Okay. I do like St. John's, too.
Very, very good. They have a lot of talent coming in, too. So them, and then a team that I was all over last year that unfortunately kind of fell apart at the end.
Brown?
Oh, shh. It was cussed. I'm sorry. That was good.
I got you there.
We have to get back on Brown.
Yep.
So Brown, yes, Ivy League sleeper. But I was going to say the other team I was on all over last year, San Francisco.
The Dons.
the Dons, and I believe I looked up a few weeks ago, they have a pretty good recruiting class coming in for a mid-major.
Okay.
So San Francisco look to be a sneaky mid-major team. Yes, Nick, go ahead.
You've been very high on San Francisco, as you should. But also, you're ragging on Florida head basketball coach Todd Golden earlier, who came from San Francisco. Is that why you don't like him? Is there some animosity for him leaving your dear Dons?
He left the Gold Rush.
He left the Gold Rush.
He did.
Well said.
What a shame.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and just pick them out right now and put them down. If you want a 12-13 seed that's going to provide some headaches for your bracket,
Stephen F. Austin.
no. Don't go any farther than Princeton. Princeton is going to be a pain in the butt to play this year. Blake Peters, Xavier Lee. Those are the only two names you need to know. Princeton's going to average about 10 to 12 made threes per game, at least. They shot nearly 50% from three as a team last year. They're going to shoot at least 30 to 35 threes a game. They're going to be good. So
Mark it down, Nick.
write it down.
I love the pick, Robbie. Can I play devil's advocate a little bit?
Sure.
Has Princeton been too good to be a sleeper right now?
That's what some would say is maybe they've been too good recently.
Which I still think they're a sleeper pick.
Yes, but they didn't make the tournament last year because Brown put them out in the first round of the Ivy League tournament. So because of that, that's why I do call them a sleeper. And we got to keep an eye on them. I also love Grand Canyon. Tyon Grant Foster is back. That team is just that. I've never done hard drugs, but I feel like when I was watching Grand Canyon play against Alabama, I felt like I was doing hard drugs the entire time I was watching that game. I love that game so much, and it was so bad and so good all at the same time.
But not hard drugs.
No.
That's one of the least shocking news I've ever heard, is that Robbie's not done hard
Yes,
drugs.
that is the least shocking.
No, it shouldn't be.
Which neither have we, Dusty.
Correct, yes.
Yes. No.
That's right.
Love you, Mom.
All right, so that will kind of wrap up what we've been talking about. Anything else? Any last news of notes? Some shout-outs? Anything we can wrap it up before we take this thing into a short break before we get to our big preseason pod coming up in about a week's time?
I'll go first, and then Nick, you can go. Shout out to our sponsor,
Yes.
who we still can't name. Besides that, he's the
benefactor of the pod.
the benefactor of the pod. But I'm just excited. I'm so excited that it's about to start up. I'm so excited for basketball season. This is such a great time of year. I think it's this weekend when we have, next weekend we have the first day of all four major sports, the one day a year when they all play.
The equinox, as they call it.
Correct. Just excited. And as someone who obviously has a bias for Kentucky, I've been invited to multiple events this year. And I'm hoping that we can finally find the time to do some type of road show, not necessarily at Kentucky, but even if it's Bloomington or West Lafayette or something. I'm just pumped. And I'm pumped to be doing this with you guys. And hell yeah to college basketball, baby.
Love it. Nicholas?
I was well said, crap. It got me excited just listening.
Oh, yeah.
We're back, boys. I just want the Nick's Funny of the Week. I saw this today.
Nick's funny.
The quote that went viral from Nate Oates' opening media press conference.
Yeah.
Again, this Bama's probably most hyped basketball team maybe ever.
Ever, yeah.
And the quote that went viral is him saying that he's confident that Alabama football will make the playoffs still.
Who's shocked by that at all? Not me.
It's so good. But to Dusty's point, I'm excited, boys, for season 2 because we started middle of January last year.
did.
So we're getting full years this year,
So
boys.
now that we get a full year of the pod, does that mean we get a full year of Purdue finally winning a national championship? Because we only did a partial. They got to the game. Now we're doing a full year. Now they're going to win it all this year, right?
Only if Braden Smith is player of the year.
You can keep on making fun of me about that, but it's going to happen.
I love the little what we call rivalry. I'm not even sure it's rivalry. The competition we have on the pod between R.J. Davis and Braden Smith this year. We got to chart the numbers.
Yeah, we'll follow that very closely.
And again, we're going to hone on Mark Sears.
Mark Sears. My last thing, a couple things. Charity exhibition games are coming. There's one coming up this weekend. Xavier at Dayton. Pretty tasty little game. And then a couple other ones coming up. October 26th, Purdue is at Creighton. Fun one. And then October 27th, it's Houston, Texas A&M, Illinois, Ole Miss. So you got some good charity exhibition games that are coming up soon. that I'm excited about. But one thing I want to float out here, and I talked to Nick about it before the show, and I want to mention it to you. December 4th this year, for college basketball, probably one of the greatest slates of games that I think I've ever seen. You want to hear some of these?
And it's a weeknight, by the way. This is not like a
I know I've
Saturday.
seen it. Read it
Wednesday,
again. Yeah.
Wednesday, December 4th, Wednesday, Kansas, Creighton, Baylor, UConn, Marquette, Iowa State, Alabama, North Carolina, Virginia, Florida, Auburn, Duke, Texas, NC State.
Insane on a Wednesday.
All 7. And it's all. No, I don't think any of them are neutral sites either. I think they're all road games too. So it's at Creighton, at UConn, at Iowa State, at North Carolina, at Florida, at Duke, at NC State. Those are going to be some incredible games, and that's all on a Wednesday night.
Maybe a recap that night.
I'd say we do like a live show or
live
something
show?
as we're
Okay.
watching games and something like that. I think it'd be fun.
I think it's a great idea, Robbie.
On this couch, this place is cozy.
And
We
think about
could.
that week too, like football offseason going Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, whatever.
Right.
And you get that Wednesday
The
slate
Wednesday,
right in between
sneaking it in there.
It's well done.
I agree. Well, there you go. So get that out. Put that on your schedule. Check it into your Palm Pilot. Let you know that you're all ready to go for that one on December 4th. Should be a fun schedule. But obviously, college basketball, again, 20 days until we tip things off. We will have a preseason pod at a date to be determined soon, where we will give all of our preseason picks, where we will all name Braden Smith as our preseason player of the year, and we will all pick Purdue to win the national championship this year.
And Kirk Kriisa, 6th man of the year in the SEC.
If Kirk Kriisa does anything positive this year, I will donate to a charity of your choice.
Wow.
Only $1, but I'm not going big here.
Go Cats.
Shout out Slick Rick.
All right. That does it for this episode of the D1 and Done Pod. For Dusty, Nick, I'm Robbie. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. So long, everyone.